I might just let you go because I really don't know how much I have to say about this.
I don't know how much I have to say about it either. Then, like I said when we came out, they should change the subtitle from Exodus, Gods and Kings to Exodus, Ridley Scott wants you to watch horses and babies die.
But that's kind of... I mean, you're right. But that's making it sound more interesting than this movie is.
Oh, God, it was...
This felt every bit of the 40 years, didn't it?
Oh, dear fucking Lord, it did. You know, not only has this movie had some of the worst fucking trailers I've seen all year, and definitely...
Posters.
The worst poster, hands down, I've seen all year. This movie was... Like, on a technical aspect, I cannot fault any of... It's beautiful. It's just so insufferably fucking boring. Just so boring.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say other than I think that this is like the most ambitious, unambitious film of the year,
I
if
know.
that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because you're right in the sense that it is not a poorly made movie, but
No.
it also it's also not an inspired looking film.
No,
It
it's...
looks exactly like you would think it would if a good director is doing a movie like this,
Yeah.
and it doesn't go beyond that.
No, and it's Ridley Scott's one of those dudes that he puts his name on a movie, chances are I'll see it. I like Ridley Scott as a filmmaker.
Yeah, me too.
I liked his brother Tony as a filmmaker a lot too.
I was a huge Tony
Yeah.
Scott fan.
Same here.
Man, at the end of the movie when it said "for my brother Tony," I sat there like, I wish Tony Scott directed this. That would have
Yeah.
been amazing.
And just, you know,
I wish Darren Aronofsky directed this.
me too, man. Because I tell you what, Noah was fucking out there, but I was never fucking bored.
Yeah.
Like, this movie was so... It was just boring. It just drug on, and there were so many weird casting choices. And even if some of those weird casting choices had worked better, some of those actors were completely fucking wasted. You know?
I didn't even know Jesse Pinkman was in this movie until he showed up.
I know! But that's the fucked up thing. The movie's shot in such a weird way, and everybody's, like, caked in weird, like, brown makeup that some of them are so hard to recognize that it was just kind of like...
Oh, it took us a while to pinpoint John Turturro.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, and I don't think I would have figured it out if he wasn't making, like, the fucking Turturro face at points. But yeah, fucking Turturro, fucking Pinkman, it's just like, I'm sitting there and like...
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, and the first time they showed fucking, Aaron Paul?
Aaron Paul.
The first time they showed him, I'm like, is that fucking Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Like, really? Is that, like, he gets a cameo in the movie as a dude being whipped?
I know, like, I figured instantly I knew it was him,
Yeah.
because it's hard to, even under all that
The
mud,
fucking
it's hard
eyes and glow.
the eyes,
yeah.
and that he's like 4'0" like, it's hard to mistake Aaron Paul, so I was like, okay, I'm sure he's probably gonna come back
Just
into
like,
this
yeah.
later.
Was that fucking Sigourney Weaver just walked by? Was that what she did? She had one fucking line and just walked by a few times?
This must be what it was like for, Brian and Sarah to review Son of God. Honestly, because I honestly don't know really what to say. I hate to just sit here and just be like, this movie's boring.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, that it makes a lot of weird, like, pacing choices in it. Like, it does, but you've seen this movie before many, many times, and in terms of the casting of it, you know, I mean, like, I get that if you want your movie to have, like, kind of an old Hollywood epic feel to it, but when you have the special effects that this movie does, under the direction that it does not feel like an old Hollywood film, so this casting is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Even though my favorite part of the movie was Joel Edgerton.
But he was... We gotta talk about Edgerton for a minute, because I really do think he was the most entertaining part of the movie.
By far.
By far the most entertaining part of the movie. but at the same time, he was acting like he was not in this movie.
Which is probably why I found him entertaining.
Yeah, because he was acting like he was in like a fucking 80s or early 90s Scorsese movie.
It's kind of like watching Keitel in Last Temptation of Christ, even though that's a far better movie than this is.
Oh, yeah.
But Keitel with that like Brooklyn accent, like there are moments when
God.
I'm God. Like there are moments where he like has an accent like Christian Bale's, and then there's other parts where he just sounds like he's from the Bronx.
Yeah.
He was really entertaining to me in this movie, and it was kind of like, because if I'm going to compare this Ridley Scott movie to another one, it'll probably be Robin Hood, because they are both boring as fuck and do absolutely nothing with the material. And my favorite part of...
I'm one of the weird people. I liked that Robin Hood movie.
Do you know
It
what?
just shouldn't have been called Robin Hood. It should have just been anything else.
No.
And I also liked Kingdom of Heaven a lot, too.
Oh, that was fine. But, like, Robin Hood, when I first saw Robin Hood, I kind of walked away from it like this. It's not that I was, like, mad. I was just kind of like, whatever. But then knowing the movie that they were going to do and passed up to do that movie, The Nottingham Story, makes me really hate that movie.
Yeah.
But to compare that with Edgerton, my favorite part of that movie was Prince John.
Oscar
Isaac.
Who fucking just was chewing on scenery.
Killed in that movie.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that Oscar Isaac is having this fucking, like, huge career push.
Yeah.
Because I remember him for a while. I was like, God, that dude was... I really dug that dude. And then when Inside Llewyn Davis came out, I was like, it's fucking Prince John!
He nailed that. He's the only thing that keeps that movie from being totally forgettable. Edgerton... I like Edgerton also in this because he does humanize this character. Yes, the character is a total madman. He's a maniac, but he does have his moments in the movie where you can tell that, like, he does love his brother. You can tell he doesn't really want to do this to his brother. Like, he is kind of fighting. I think he's fighting more demons in this movie than Christian Bale's character is, but I think that Ramses is a far better written character in this film.
He was more, I don't even say he was more than one-dimensional, because I think every character in this movie was pretty fucking one-dimensional. He just a little more... There's more going on there.
Yeah, I don't think he's one-dimensional because, like, he doesn't play it, other than some of his voice choices, he doesn't play the part just as a total 100% genocidal madman.
No.
Just a cartoonish, kill everyone villain. He does have moments in the movie where, whether he's weeping for his son, whether he is, genuinely doesn't want Moses to die, moments like that worked for me. He's still the total bad guy in the movie, but this movie is so fucking weird because God kills more people in this movie than Ramses does.
Well, and if I remember, that's the case in the Bible too.
Yeah.
But it's the one thing I really did enjoy about this movie, and who I actually thought was the best actor in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Dead on, the little kid that played God. By the way, in this movie, God is like 8, and he's crazy.
Yes, God is... every time that kid popped up, I was laughing my ass off, because God is...
He's an 8-year-old.
You can tell that this movie is made by people who aren't that religious.
Yeah.
Because God in this movie is literally a child throwing a temper tantrum.
I know! I loved that.
I like that in the sense that, like, it did, like...
It was a fun concept, and in a better movie, that kid being that God would have been amazing.
You had a Darren Aronofsky behind this, because everything else in this movie is pretty straightforward. Even the stuff with the kid is kind of played straightforward, other than looking at it like God is a kid throwing a temper tantrum. Yeah. But they write Moses in a way that I think was well done, in that when, like, for at least this part, other than that, he's just total one fucking dimensional, but, like, when it's the plague of like the firstborn child is gonna die, and Mo's like, I don't want any part of this. Like, this is really? Alright, maybe cool your horses. And he says to God too, when he says like
400 years of slavery.
yeah, and now you're doing something about it? And I feel God never answered him on that.
No, what that was a little kid going, but I want it now!
Yeah, that is literally what they're doing here. That is totally what they're doing here.
I loved that part. That was the part I loved the most, was that God was a little kid throwing a bitch fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna, like, dude, I want this now or I'm gonna kill your fucking kids, alright? I'm gonna kill your fucking kids. I want my toy now. It's Christmas, motherfucker. Shit.
Fucking just... But yeah, there was so much going on with this movie that was detracting from what should have been going on with this movie. It's just like, oh, that's a really beautiful, lovely, gigantic set piece.
Uh-huh.
You have Oscar nominees in this shit, and they're being wasted. Just wasted.
Yeah, more attention should have been paid towards them, towards stuff like, honestly, I think that Moses and, like, the whole thing with his wife and kid could have been completely cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
Could have 100% completely been cut out of this movie. It's like, I've already seen a movie this year where the dad gets a higher calling and has to go away, and he doesn't know if he'll be back, and his family hates him for it. Interstellar's a far better fucking movie than this.
Yeah. Yeah. Just... yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's just like, there's parts about it that I'm just like, yeah, that was cool. And that was an interesting concept, and that was really pretty. But it didn't make anything completely good.
Because none of it feels like...
There's no urgency fucking to it. And yes, I know it's a story that takes place over, about 50 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But... come on!
Well, it's played very straight. Like, even
Yeah.
the play... Like, for a while, it's sort of played as if, like, okay, is he actually talking to God, or did he just hit his head and he's, like, crazy, or and he's, like, schizophrenic or something like that? It plays it in that angle, and even... I mean, once it get farther on, it's like, okay, yeah, nothing can really explain what's going on here, other than God's doing it. But certain plagues, like... At first is sort of like, okay, maybe it's just simply this bad shit is happening right now.
As explained by the guy who played Spud in Trainspotting.
Yeah, the guy who he pops up in it.
Yeah.
The one Scotsman.
And I've seen one movie with him in it this year that was better than this, too.
What was he in?
Snowpiercer.
Oh.
He was the guy with one arm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The guy who gets his arm stuck out in the train.
Yeah, I remember the character. I
Yeah.
just didn't notice.
Well, he had a beard.
It's true. In this, he looks exactly like Spud.
Yeah.
Just with like Egyptian clothes on, and his accent that he's
He's still got the fucking Scottish brogue going.
God
His
fucking damn it, man. This movie it's played so straight, but nothing about it really feels as epic as any of the other really good Moses movies that I've seen. Certainly not compared to Cecil B. DeMille's, because too much of this movie is shot in close-ups. The effects and the set pieces aren't as good in this as they were in DeMille's movie.
You know what? I think the effects might have looked better if we weren't at the 3D.
There is no reason to see this in 3D.
No,
there is no
unless you want like just bugs to be a little closer to your face than
yeah,
on the
that's like
screen.
30 seconds of the movie.
I honestly think this movie might have looked better in 2D.
I'm sure it did. At least would have been brighter. But there's no reason to see this in 3D. I didn't even know this was in 3D until like this week.
Well, they wanted to make all the gold pop. Like on the posters.
Man, those posters suck.
God awful.
Exodus,
posters.
Gods and Kings with the subtitle. What are they looking at? They're not looking at each other. Even Prince of Egypt is a far better movie than this. A far better movie than this. That's a really, really good movie. Hell, I would rather watch Holy Moses with Dudley Moore than watch this again.
I'll watch anything with Dudley Moore before I watch this again.
Well, maybe not Like Father, Like Son.
Yeah. It's weird because it's one of those movies. I didn't like it, but I'm not mad at it. I'm just like, why?
Since it does nothing really fresh with this at all, at least not in a sense to fucking write home about, especially compared to something like Noah. you sit there, and this is a lot of what Brian and Sarah were talking about when they saw Son of God. You're sitting there completely disinterested in this movie, but since it's a story that everybody knows, or everybody knows where this is going, you're sitting there the entire time like, all right, how long is it going to be until, like,
This
the
happens,
plagues?
yeah.
How long is it going to be until the Red Sea? I didn't even know if they were going to get into, like, the Ten Commandments thing. in
Every
this.
time we went up a fucking mountain, I'm like, where are the fucking tablets?
Yeah.
And they go up a lot of mountains. In this
There's a
fucking
lot of
movie.
walking, there's a lot of mountains, but because it is played so straight as you know, compared to, like, say, like the DeMille film, which is like, in that movie's like, okay, yeah, there's no question God is doing all of this.
Yeah.
Because this one is played way straighter than that. There's things about the story that don't work as much, like, in that, like, because it does at the end, he's way older, which is like, okay, they've been walking for like 40 years, and I'm like, I'm kind of sitting there like, I don't know, would anyone have been kind of like, why don't we just camp here? We've been walking for several years. Look, this spot looks as good as any.
Well, like, and of course the movie right before the Red Sea when they're crossing, there's the big rally speech, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I was just expecting one dude to, like, sit down, light up a cigarette, and go, nope,
No, not doing it.
nope.
You know what I did like about that scene, and it's something that's really rare that I see in those big, like, battle speech scenes. Because anytime you see a movie like this, whenever there's a character doing that, just everybody, no matter where they're standing, hears that person.
Yeah.
You know, like, you could be standing like a mile away and they instantly hear you. In this, they have people there who are like, he said blah, 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 blah. He said we're gonna walk through the sea. What? Did he really say that? Or is this that, like, whisper thing in your ear thing, and now it doesn't make any sense?
Nope, he's wading in. All right, let's go.
Fine.
No, I'm sorry. Fuck it. The Egyptians are coming, or I'm gonna drown. I'm just gonna sit down.
I'm just gonna wait this out.
Yeah.
All right.
No. It's just kind of Fuck it. Fuck it.
Oh.
It's just like, I ain't walking across that bitch. That'll take hours.
And that's now we're getting into, like, the tens of thousands of people God kills in this movie.
Oh my god.
Like, people getting set on fire, just fishermen getting attacked by alligators, which is what creates the, like, sea of blood.
Oh.
That was really gory.
That was really gory, and that was one of the few scenes in the movie where I'm like, this is getting weird, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, that scene, I was like, fuck yeah, because just out of nowhere, giant fucking crocodiles attack a boat, and then they're attacking each other.
Attacking each other,
Yeah.
that's what puts blood, like, in the water, and now
And then the frogs are coming up out of the... Oh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That was cool. And that one scene right after... You know the story. There's no fucking spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, just that one beautiful shot of the whole army drowning.
Yeah.
Like, horrific. Like horses falling to the bottom of the ocean dead. But a beautiful shot.
Oh, yeah, one of the few shots that looked pretty good in 3D. Yeah, and that makes up, like, the plagues and that make up
10
what?
minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes of a 2.5 hour
Yeah.
movie. Oh my god. And I realize that it's the kind of story that would be hard-ish to tell in a short amount of time. I mean, I'm sure you can, but
you
like...
can keep it lively.
Oh god, yeah, you can. You can
There
keep...
was just too many... There was too much space between those set pieces. And then that
stuff...
space was just sitting.
And stuff just happening really fast, whether it's him getting married, which, introduction to the two characters, boom, they get married. Okay, I guess they like each other. And other weird things about it, like, Ramses is really easy to just confront in this movie, because as soon as he comes...
He's real easy to get to, and for, like, the ruler of Egypt, who's all about just, like, slave state, fuck it, these
Yeah.
people do everything for me, He's all about doing shit in his own house. Like, I'll light these, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go wander around, check on the horses. Nobody needs to guard
No
me.
one needs to guard him, which is why Moses is easily able to go up to him and hold a fucking dagger to his neck.
Yeah, it's just, okay, cool, yeah, you need that for the movie, but, like, you know, instead of that, like, 15 minutes of sitting right before that, let's have a planning scene. Let's have a little subterfuge. Let's see how that plan comes together. No, we're gonna sit and stare into the middle fucking distance, then...
Dude, I guarantee you this is gonna have, like, a Kingdom from Heaven cut that's probably, like, an hour longer than this.
But you know what? If it makes... Because I remember exactly what happened with Kingdom of Heaven. I went and saw it in the theater and I was like, oh, this sucks. And then it came out on DVD and I was like, alright, Ridley Scott director's cut. I'll watch it. And I was like, oh, this movie is awesome!
Yeah.
And that partially might be being able to watch it at home in my own leisure,
It could
too.
be, yeah.
Because sometimes movies are like that, where it's just like, oh, this sucks in the theater, but at home, it's like the Robin Hood movie. I like that, but I think I like it because I never saw it in the theater.
I saw it in the theater.
I liked, you know, it's like, oh, this is a good point to go take a piss and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
Some movies are just like that, where like the Lord of the Rings movies. I like those movies, but you know what? You need a fucking break, and right in the middle of them, you need like 5 minutes to stand up, stretch, and walk
We
around.
got that next week. It's the shortest one, though. It's 2.5 hours.
It's all fucking action scenes, from what I've heard.
Man, that's gonna... I'm not a huge fan of movies like that. Not saying it can't be done well, but anytime I hear, like, this movie's just a giant action sequence, and it's a third part of a trilogy, I think of, like, fucking Matrix 3.
No.
Or, I don't know, I think...
These Hobbit movies, I've seen the first two, and I honestly am one of those people that feel that it could have been done very well with just like one 4-hour movie. It's 4 hours long, and that's a long time to sit in a theater, but one 4-hour movie, you could have gotten the story done, and...
Two 2-hour movies.
Yeah, that too. Fine, fuck it. Like, it'd be weird finding a nice middle point in that book, but yeah, just do one or two. Like, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, fine. I understand 3.
Well, yeah,
It's a trilogy.
Yeah.
Fine, do 3, but, like, The Hobbit, do fucking 1.
Ugh, God, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ, we were fucking
I'm exhausted.
napping by the end of this, man. Oh,
Yeah, that was just not a fun movie-going experience.
no,
Like, I've seen movies that were much, much worse than this year that were far more entertaining.
I've seen movies. This movie is not going to be on, like, my list of the worst movies of the year.
Oh,
like,
mine either. If I made a list of the movies I was least impressed by, this would be pretty high up there, but that's not a list we do.
No, there are movies, though, that are going to be on my worst of the movies of the year list that I would rather watch again than this movie.
Yeah.
I would rather watch Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas again.
Every fucking day. I can't wait for the DVD.
Me too. I am buying that shit.
Dude, I'll get Reservoir Dogs weird about it.
I'm getting it.
Every special edition there is.
Not even the light wants to turn back on. That's my final thoughts on this, I guess. It's just like, there's no reason for this movie to exist. There's not. There are other things that are far better than this. It doesn't take enough chances with the story to make it worth existing.
No.
At all.
And the other movies that Ridley Scott's talking about doing, it's just like, man, you took time out to make this instead of just plugging ahead and doing some of the cool stuff you're talking about doing. Like, I really want to see the next Prometheus movie.
I do too. More so than this.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I gave a positive review to The Counselor.
Yeah. Like, I'm less sure that I want to see a fucking Blade Runner sequel, but it's just because I think that's one of those movies to me that you get the right version of it. That's a good, solid, just straight done. But
I would
So
rather
good.
him do that than something like this. This is just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why this movie had to be made. I really, really don't. Especially like told like this, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I've got nothing else to say about this movie. It's exactly what you think it is. If you've seen the trailer for this movie,
You've seen the movie.
you know the tone of it, you know what it looks like, you know what the acting is going to be like in it, you know everything that's going to happen in this story. Unless, I mean,
My main problem, like, yeah, it's just fucking boring, and there's so much about it that's just boring, like, for no reason boring. Like, the fucking color schemes in the movie, everything's fucking gray.
it's gray. It's
and I don't know
blue,
if that has
it's
to
just-
do with the 3D.
No, I
but-
don't think it does.
But you're in the fucking desert, motherfucker. That is a land of color.
So much shit is like the crossing the Red Sea was fairly boring at first because it took so fucking long to lead up to it. When they get to the Red Sea, I'm like, right on. This is when they're gonna cross. Cut to like it's at night and they're camping. I'm like, oh fucking get on with it. I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Fucking get on with it.
It's just, you know, I'll watch it one more time just to see how many times fucking Christian Bale's beard changes.
Sometimes he's got power goatee.
Yeah. Other times it's just tight trim, and then
Yeah.
there's crazy beard. And
He pretty much has the Heston hair throughout the movie, like the way his like regular hair is. That doesn't really, other than a couple times where it's a little longer, but a lot of times it's kind of the same length. Even though his beard grows radically. Then at the end he looks like Santa Claus.
yeah, go see something else. Fucking.
Go see something. This is the kind of movie that I don't know, like your grandparents might enjoy. I guess maybe. I don't know.
Even my grandma would be bored by this shit.
If
My
you-
grandma likes some boring ass shit.
I mean, like a fairly religious person,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's
Little gory, maybe.
if we're comparing it to how many religious people like Passion of the Christ? Movie's gorier than Cannibal Holocaust.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the other religious movies that came out this year, I mean, at least this looks like a movie. It's not a very good movie. It doesn't look like something that would be like on the bottom shelf at your local video store.
No, yeah, this is.
Next week is like The Hobbit on like Tuesday, I think.
And then top five.
Top 5.
Annie.
Annie and Night at the Museum 3.
So it's gonna be a fucking stellar week.
Mm-hmm.
Eh.
That's all I got. Is that all you got?
I am so fucking tired. I
Me
just
too, man.
want to go home and go to sleep. And, you know, just knowing that I gotta get up in 7 hours to go to work.
The movie will give you a good night's sleep.
Oh, yeah. In the theater.